I'm Lisa Robinson, and welcome to The Inside Track. David Gilmour of Pink Floyd has released his second solo album, About Face, and he's been on tour with his own band. Now, from what David says, Pink Floyd fans may have to settle for solo albums from him and Roger Waters in the foreseeable future, since there are no plans for a new Floyd project. I asked David if his solo career was more fun than being in Pink Floyd.
At the moment, it's more fun, yes, but I have had an enormous amount of fun doing Pink Floyd projects. You know, I understand and appreciate a lot of what Roger has said in his lyrics, and I don't think he's wrong, but he just is looking at it from a different angle to the angle that I look at life from.
You tend to look at life more optimistically.
I don't know, I'm quite sort of fatalistic, really, but cheerfully fatalistic, you know.
Do you feel that you haven't been appreciated enough in Pink Floyd for the sound of the music that the group makes?
That people don't appreciate what I do or don't know what I contribute?
They don't know what you've contributed, yeah.
Well, you know, I think I've probably been a bit lazy within Pink Floyd, but people haven't stood in my way or prevented me from doing anything that I want to do.
It was sort of felt like it was Roger Waters' group.
Well, I've never felt that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do think that, you know, a lot of people have been led to believe that, and it's understandable, you know. He's had the majority of the writing credits and has written all the lyrics for everything we've done for the last 10 years. And he certainly deserves more credit within it than I do. But that's not to say I don't want to sound apologetic or anything, you know, but I think my part is vital to making it what it is as well.
Do you think that this solo album has proved that in a way?
Well, who knows? I mean, people will see in the solo album what I do and what I can do. And, and they will see also from Rogers what he can do. I mean, you can see from the two where parts fit together, I think. I mean, they just have to draw their own conclusions.
Was the final cut like the final straw for you, in a way?
Well, it's obviously, you know, no real secret that the final cut personally for me wasn't everything that it could or should have been. You know, we have had a number of disagreements on the final cut, which resulted in Roger really basically producing the album himself, because I disagreed with the way it was being done so radically that it was counterproductive, me having an involvement in the production of it, really. In the end, I don't personally like the album very much. I think there are 3 great tracks on it. But a lot of it...
3? I read that you said 4, but that you said that 4 wasn't enough.
You know, 3 great tracks I think there are on it, and that 3 certainly isn't enough. And, you know, some of the rest is okay, and some of it is substandard to me. I think the album overall is a substandard album. Roger probably still thinks he was right about the way it was done. I still think he was wrong. But that's one of those things.
Did you ever get to the point where you thought so much that he was wrong that you really just wanted to walk away from Pink Floyd?
I wanted to walk away from that project, yeah. But not from Pink Floyd, you know. I mean, times change, you know. It was a problem really because we went into it without having set the ground rules. We never sort of sat down and said, right, in a month we'll start making an album and this is how we'll do it or anything. We just sort of drifted into it from making a soundtrack for the War movie, which became not necessary, and drifted on into making a Pink Floyd record. And I think when and if we do a Pink Floyd project again, I have no idea whether we will, but when and if we do, you know, it will have to be a situation of sort of establishing some ground rules before we go into doing it.
I asked David what plans he and Roger Waters did have for the next Pink Floyd album now that both of them were busy promoting their solo albums.
I don't think any of us,
you don't know,
if we ever do a Pink Floyd project again, I certainly don't think we'll do one within the next year, at least.
You don't think you could get to the point that you drift so much that you wouldn't even want to bother again?
Quite easily, yes, quite possible.
I mean, right now, if one were to say to you, listen, you never can work with them again, would you care?
I don't think so.
Do you fight a lot with Roger?
Yeah.
But have you always?
Yes. We've always argued like mad about all sorts of things. Sometimes nearly to blows, you know.
Really?
Well, we did on the Wall album. We've always have, you know. We disagree about things, you know. That's one of the good things about Pink Floyd is that we are very different. We come from sort of opposite directions in a lot of ways. And when we get something right between us, it works, you know. But often I think one thing very radically, and he thinks another thing very radically. And reaching the compromise is very hard. And it gets harder as you get older to be able to compromise.
Is that what that song was about on your record? Where the one about getting old? We're not getting wiser, we're just getting old.
Near the end.
Some I've read interpretations of that call it a love song, and then interpretations that say it's about what's going on with you and Roger.
One of the few things that I think it isn't about is what's going on between me and Roger.
Do you like your voice?
Yeah.
Comfortable with your voice?
Fairly, yeah.
The song that Townsend did the lyrics for was All Lovers Are Deranged?
And Love on the Air, yeah.
Oh, and Love on the Air. Well, All Lovers Are Deranged, when you sent him the music, and he sent you back the lyrics.
Yes, with the demo version on a cassette of him singing it.
That's obviously, I mean, you're used to, I suppose, writing music and having other people put lyrics or something like that, but it's like, considering that this was your solo album, did it feel different to you to be singing somebody else's lyrics, like Pete Townsend's?
Yeah, it felt fine. He's a good lyric writer. I mean, there was a point where I was thinking, I must do everything myself. And then I thought, well, who cares, you know? My ego's not that much that I've got to do everything. I've got to prove that I can do absolutely everything all by myself. You know, it's a silliness that I managed to get over.
When you used to tour in the early days, you know, when it wasn't as massive as what Pink Floyd went through the last time, was there a lot of I don't know about, in terms of rock and roll early days, carousing, English, on the road, that whole kind of thing that you think of? And now you're here with a family. It's a completely different kind of experience, isn't it?
Well, the family are here with me right now just for this week in New York.
Oh, so they're not on the whole thing.
They're not sort of actually touring with me.
So you mean when they're not here, there's a lot of carousing?
Mad carousing all night long, every night, yes, of course.
Well, I'll tell you, I was on the Arms tour with Eric Clapton and Ronnie Lane and Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page and so forth, and many of them who I'd known progressively through the years. And it was just hysterical because with only one exception, I would say, everybody was in bed by midnight, was up at 6 a.m, running, playing squash, going to the health club.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so sedate, really. It's funny to sort of watch rock and roll grow up in a way. And
there's the old...
As you put on the table, as I'm saying, that day glow, green chartreuse socks with notes on them and red leather shoes. Very sedate, yes.
Very sedate. I told you, I'm trying to enjoy myself.
Right. Is it hard for you to enjoy yourself?
No.
You have to force it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's hard getting up the next morning.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like...
We're all getting a lot older, all these people you're talking about on the Arms tour, and including myself. And the hangovers are worse. We have to start looking after ourselves, you know. And I'm trying to do that as well as enjoy myself. And some nights looking after myself wins out. And some nights rock and roll wins out.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Oh, thanks very much for talking with us.
Thank you very much.